Hey, everybody. If you are watching this, you see we have a special guest today. If you're just listening to it, check out our video channels, YouTube, Facebook. You can actually watch these podcasts because we do film them, and sometimes that's interesting if you like that sort of thing. So welcome into Gun Talk Nation. This Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Sig Sauer and EOTECH Optics. And today on the show, Tom Gresham. Woo.
Well, hey, it's good to be here down here in Louisiana at Range Ready.
Yeah.
And it's been pretty exciting. We've been having a couple of days of all hands meetings of pulling in the Gun Talk crew from all over the country. And it's my first chance to see the completed
the finished
operation,
product.
the whole thing. I've been watching it as it's been coming along, and it is amazing. You have just done a fabulous job.
Thank you. Well, it's been a journey, and I mean, nobody wants to do construction projects, and then the worst type of construction project, I think, is probably a renovation, because
Right.
you don't always know what you're getting into. And then, so I thought what I would do is do a construction project renovation on an old slaughterhouse, because that's fun.
Sure, because, you know, parts of it are falling down, and then
Yeah.
when you start peeling things back and go, oh, I didn't know that was back there.
There was a lot of correcting things and making things right in the project.
Where they weren't built the right way 20 or 30 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a clean slate. There were certainly elements of the building where it was like, oh, he has like a brother-in-law who sort of knows how to do electricity. That's what the guy had.
We'll be ripping that out
20
now.
years ago, and so whatever. And a lot of that's not code now. Well, actually, it was never code.
Right. So when you show up at the job site and the foreman looks over at you, kind of waggles his finger at you.
Yeah,
I need
you to come
I
here.
need to talk with you about this.
Who's going to tell him? Yeah, that was some of that. But Range Ready is up and running. Range Ready is the public side of this place. So it's an opportunity for us to welcome in our audience to come take classes, do events. We have one coming up.
The first class next week.
Yeah, we have Ruger coming up, pistol class with Ruger, and we have more coming. I don't want to say too much, but we want to get them up on the website so we can announce it.
You're going to have the Canon class?
Yeah, the Canon class.
I like this.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm wearing one of our Gun Talk t-shirts. This one is Second Amendment Canon Company, which the reason for that is because Joe Biden says, well, you can't buy a cannon. You couldn't buy a cannon back then. Second Amendment.
Actually, you could.
You could then, and you can now.
And you could actually have a warship you could own personally back then, full of cannons.
I tell you what, speaking of cannons, there's a cannon I would like to buy, is the cannon that you get to shoot at FTW Ranch.
Oh, with the bowling ball?
Yes. So you load it with a bowling ball, and you load black powder into the cannon. And they've done this for several years now. So they've sort of perfected the recipe, so to speak. But
you could see the cannonball, the bowling ball, when they shoot it go out across. It's what, like 300 yards across, 400 yards. I mean, they're getting pretty good at hitting pretty close to the target.
They have a target. They're always trying to hit on the side of a hill. Now, it helps that they've got like 12,000 acres to be able to do this. But I think he said the first time they filled it up with whatever they thought would be appropriate, and then the cannonball went out of sight. And they're like, oh, that's too much.
If you want to do this at home, you might want to check with your HOA first.
Right. That load was a little hot. Yeah. A little overpressure, perhaps. Yeah. But you could buy a cannon. I think he was like, oh, yeah. I was like, wait, where'd you get this? Oh, yeah, it's a guy in South Carolina that makes these things.
Yeah, you could absolutely buy a cannon.
Yeah.
And I mean,
or you can buy a Canon t-shirt at shopguntalk.com.
That's right. You can also own a flamethrower.
You can own a flamethrower. You can own a machine gun.
Yes, you can.
It's so legal. Funny. You can't just like own a machine gun. Well, yeah, you can.
Actually, you can. It's like, and a lot of people do.
It's extra paperwork.
And they're expensive.
Yeah, and they're expensive. That's a crazy thing. This isn't even what we were going to talk about, but we can go down this road for a little bit because I think it's interesting. So, I mean, you guys, probably some of you guys know, but some of you don't. Before 1986, it was a little easier to own a machine gun.
Well, you could own a machine gun. The regs were the same, and they had to be registered. You had the ATF, you had the $200 tax. But in 1986, they did a cutoff. They said, okay, any machine guns made before then, you could own, but you can't own any machine guns that are made after 1986.
Yeah.
So that put an absolute lid on the number of machine guns that were available to be purchased. And as a result of that, the prices have kept going up. I mean, back then it might have been $2,000
for like an M16.
Right. Now you're looking at $25,000.
Yeah.
For that gun.
It's the same gun.
Right.
But it's just there are no more in circulation that could be owned,
right?
Because it's after an 86.
And if the Republicans had any cojones when they get in, they could actually undo that. But no one is going to stand up and say, I think we should take the restrictions off of machine guns.
That's a tough one.
They're afraid of it.
Because it doesn't make sense, the restrictions. But it's a tough one to, like you said, be in public saying, let's loosen the regulations on machine guns.
Yeah, it's like saying, I'm in favor of putting pit bulls in your cribs with kids.
Yeah,
or something.
that's just like, a tough one.
Nobody's going to do that. Okay, but be that as it may, that's not what you want to talk about today.
Yeah, that wasn't. What I wanted to do is we want to get you in here and talk about some stories, because obviously I grew up hearing all these stories, and we all have stories that we tell, and certainly about shooting and hunting and guns. It's one of those subjects that it's so generational that these stories are passed on through the years. And I wanted to make sure that we could try to share some of these that maybe perhaps our audience haven't heard before and that type of thing. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stories of great shots that we remember, weird products out there. I mean, where to start?
Well, things happen, and rarely are they planned. It's just stuff happens. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's amazing. I can't believe you made that shot kind of a thing. And sometimes it's just kind of like, you'll never believe what happened. And so often it's not, and we talk about this, you go on these hunts or whatever, and it's not the hunt. It's the ancillary story. It's the side story, the thing that happened on the way to the hunt or while it was going on. Or you're going to a trap shoot and this thing happens. Or, you hear the story about, in the old days at least, some of these trap shooters. I mean, trap shooters are weird anyway. And they would actually take the barrel, it wasn't shooting where they wanted. They'd find two trees that are close together, stick the barrel between the two trees and lean on the stock and bend the barrel.
Try to bend the barrel.
Right, to change the point. Oh, yeah. That's just, you're like, really? Yes, that really happens. Yeah.
Wow. And probably it's a cross-dominant eye issue, or the gun doesn't fit right issue.
Or the guy's just shooting lousy. He's trying to find something to do to fix it.
That's like their version of, slamming the putter on the ground kind of thing.
Why not, right?
You're not putting well.
Right, because it's always the tool.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this gun doesn't shoot right. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. My pistols all shoot low and left. I don't understand it.
I'll tell a story on myself. This year has been kind of weird between doing all the construction, and we have all these great people here with KJ and Chris Serino and crew. And so I've been busy with the construction stuff, and then I have people who are really good at being on camera. So there's been several moments where I'm like, you guys go out and shoot, and you guys go get this content done, this guns and gear piece. So I haven't been shooting as much this year. And a couple weeks ago, we're moved in. We've got this shooting range out back on the property, and I'm like, I'm going to go shoot a little bit. No one's here. I'm just going to put a target out there and just use my carry gun and shoot a little bit.
Okay, good idea.
I was like, well, shoot a little, shoot. I'm going, well, that's a good group. It's all low and left. I'm like, and I'm just looking at it going, I mean, I know what that is.
You know what you're doing.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's one of those deals that go, yeah, you shoot right-handed, don't you? Yeah. Because you're milking it, you're pulling that trigger and you're milking it and it's going low and it's left. And you're anticipating the recoil.
Like it happens to everybody.
I'm just going to say, it happens to everyone if you're not working on making sure it doesn't happen. And there are several ways to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the ball and dummy drill with basically blank or dead rounds. For me, I was by myself and I didn't have a ton of time. So I just kind of just told myself, okay, Ryan, trigger press.
Give yourself a talking to. Yeah.
One of the things is just pulling all the way through smoothly. Press. It was like for some reason, I was like staging the trigger.
Oh, and then
hitting the wall and then pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
I'm like,
guaranteed to go
why
lower and
was
left.
I doing this?
Yeah, rather than just pulling it back. Well, we all want to make the sights perfect when the shot goes off. I mean, that's the source of all of this. We want to make the sights perfect. You can't have the sights perfect. They're going to wobble, and you just have to keep pressing, and then at some point, the gun will go off somewhere in the wobble. Don't worry about where that is. And it's really especially helpful if you can get a hard focus on the front sight and not even be looking at the target. And then when you allow your focus to go to the target, you go, oh, wow, that was a good shot.
Yeah, it's magic. And when you get on the range and you really get grooved, then you're back in tune. But it's an unnatural thing. What we're asking our bodies to do and shoot these guns that are going to explode in our hands. It's unnatural.
And so we tend to flinch. Everybody says, I don't flinch. Yeah, let's put a couple of dummy rounds mixed in with all this stuff. And then you're going bang, 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 click. And when it goes click, that barrel dips down.
It moves a little bit.
Yeah, you're flinching.
Yeah. When we come back, we are going to get into the stories. But first up, Springfield Armory is a company that is helping make this podcast possible. They've got a Gear Up promotion right now. With any new striker-fired handgun purchase, you get 3 extra mags and a range bag for free. That's a pretty unbelievable deal, and you can find out more at springfield-armory.com. Just look for the Gear Up promotion going on right now. Sig Sauer has a lot of stuff going on, and one of them is build your own 320. You design it, Sig builds it direct from the factory. And I think this is really cool as a way to customize your gun
without you having to do the work.
Yeah, it's Sig Custom Works, and you can pick the slide and the barrel and the finish and all these different things to kind of get what you want, which is pretty cool. You can find out more at sigsauer.com. Look up the Custom Works and seeing what they're doing over there. All right, so we keep getting distracted, but story time. One of the stories that is a really old one, but a fun one, is the story about Andy Devine.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, he was a celebrity, but so long ago that people may not even remember who Andy Devine was.
Yeah. If you look up Andy Devine with your search engine, you'll find that Andy Devine was in more than 80 movies. He was kind of a big guy, had a loud, squeaky voice. He actually ended up doing voices on like the Jungle Book and some of those animated.
Was he in Robin Hood?
He was
sheriff?
in Robin Hood. He was
Little John or the sheriff or something like that.
The sheriff. It may have been Little John.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those characters.
Yeah.
But Andy Devine and his wife, Dogie, and she was in, it goes way, way back to the Young Rascals, Little Rascals.
Okay.
Series way back, black and white. And they had a home in Newport Beach. I've been to their home. You know, they're both passed on now. But he was a serious hunter. Loved bird hunting.
Right.
And he went hunting with your granddad, my dad Grits, a number of times. They loved to hunt woodcock. But Andy liked Parker shotguns. Side-by-side shotguns. He had a complete set, 12, 16, 20, 28, and 410.
Ooh, wow. And Parker shotguns are some of the greatest American-made shotguns ever.
Side-by-side shotguns. Okay. They had 2 daughters. This is the story that's told us. I hope we got it right.
Okay.
And both of them really wanted the 410 shotgun. They wanted that 410 Parker.
Mm-hmm. And
so the deal was struck, and they were told, first one to give us a grandchild gets the 410.
I like this motivation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So one evening, Andy and his wife, Dogie, are sitting at home. Front door opens. One of their daughters walks in, walks past them, doesn't say hello, doesn't say anything, goes to the gun cabinet, opens it up, takes out the 410, closes the gun cabinet, turns around and walks out the house and gets in her car and drives away.
Oh my gosh.
That's how she told him she was pregnant.
Mom and Dad, I'm having a baby.
That's right. Because I'm going to get there before my sister does.
I'm taking this shotgun right now. I don't know what my sister's been up to.
Yeah, great story. Though.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
Shotguns. Let's stay there. So one of the fun ones is Bob Brister. He was like Mr. Shotgun in more of like a scientist kind of a way. He
Bob
studied
Brister,
it.
He wrote for the Houston Chronicle. He was a top wing shooting competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Trap skeet, sporting clays, all of that. He helped bring sporting clays into the U.S. He was one of the guys that brought it in. And he wrote this incredible book, and it's still a standard, Shotgunning the Art and the Science. If you're into shotgunning, it's a great book.
It really gives you a lot of great information and backstory, and really kind of, it's fun because it was written several decades ago.
Right.
And it's fun so that's a book that you can look up and, go purchase.
So one of the things he wanted to write about was shot stringing, because when you shoot a shotgun, you get all these pellets that come out. They don't come out as a disc.
Yeah, the pattern.
Because you see the pattern on paper, it looks just this round thing.
Yeah.
But it's actually a long, almost a cylinder.
If you think of a shotgun shell, it's a cylinder.
Right.
The shot's stacked up. Now it comes out of the barrel and it starts spreading out.
Right.
But it doesn't, like you said, it's not a plate.
Right. So the question is, if this thing has, width and depth, and you're shooting at something that it's flying across at call it a 90-degree angle, how much effect does the length of this column of shot have on your ability to hit a target that's moving perpendicular to that?
Right.
They call it shot stringing. And so Bob thought about this. How could he test this? How could he show this? What could we do with that?
This is before high-speed cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And all that stuff.
This is way back. So he took butcher paper, big rolls of butcher paper, put a frame on his boat trailer, stretched it out 16 feet across the boat trailer, and hooked it up to his car, then had his wife drive across at 40 miles an hour like she's a duck. and he's got targets, printed on the paper, and he shoots the paper. Of course, he's got to aim at his wife
at some point,
for the lead.
Crossing in front of him.
Yeah, the lead. But when you think about it, what he did was, as the shot string went this way, the target went this way, and you're actually painting across from left to right. The shot hitting it.
That's a good way to say it. Painting. If you threw a bunch of paint as something went by perpendicular,
you'd make a string from left to right.
A streak of paint.
Right. So the longer the string is on the paper, the more the shot string is. The longer the shot string is, and a shorter shot string puts more pellets on the bird at a given time. And so what he discovered through all of this was harder shot leads to less shot stringing, because soft shot, they get deformed coming out, and some of them start slowing down faster than others do because they're all deformed. They're not aerodynamic.
Yeah.
So back then they said, well, we will use target loads because they had high antimony in the shot. And now, of course, we have harder shot, lots of different kinds of hard shot.
Right.
A whole different deal. But this was Bob. Somebody said, I heard of some guy out at the gun club, and he was shooting at a trailer and with paper on it. He says, I knew that was Brister. Nobody else would do that.
That's amazing. What a way to try to figure out, how are we going to figure this out? And if you really, you want the shot to be on the target you're shooting, not at
behind it.
Yeah. You could go, well, maybe you'll hit two birds. Well, but that's not the idea, especially if there's one bird.
Well, and also, if it's stringing out, you're not going to put as many pellets on a bird.
On the given bird.
And it's not one pellet that does the job. It's multiple pellets hitting. So the shorter the shot string, the more efficient it is for bringing down birds or even breaking clay targets.
That makes a ton of sense. All right. So real quick, EOTECH Optics. EOTECH is making the holographic sights, which they're really known for, the magnifiers, but they're also doing rifle scopes under their Voodoo line of rifle scopes. And it's kind of one of those things that you don't think of, magnified optics with EOTECH, but absolutely really cool scopes. I got to take the EOTECH 1 to 10 on a hunt earlier this year. Talk about versatility, a 1 power to 10 power. Yeah. Wow. They also have a really impressive 5 to 25, but this is not a monster scope. You would think a 25 power scope would be
like a spotting scope,
but it's actually pretty short. It's pretty lightweight, and of course it has fog resistant, shock resistant, water resistant, all those things. But this is a 29 ounce scope.
Wow!
And the length is only 11 inches. on a 5 to 25.
That's
so
amazing.
it's if you're looking to reach out and really shoot far, and you don't want to have to put something just giant on the top of the gun, these are good options. So check out EOTECH Voodoo rifle scopes. Ruger's been up to it again, guys. They're making new stuff. The newest one they literally just announced is the SFAR. SFAR.
They kind of sneaked that one in on us.
They did. Look, we usually know about the new stuff, and they were like, hey, this is dropping in like 2 days. Must have been kind of like, oh, wow, it's ready. Okay, let's launch it.
Right.
But what this is, it is a true small frame auto loading rifle. It's I guess I'd call it an AR-10. It's an AR
except it's
style.
it's really an AR-15 size.
But it's an AR-15 size in 308,
Right.
7.62 NATO.
Which is actually physically impossible.
It doesn't seem possible. This is something that is just now getting out there, bigger and stronger where it needs to be, remains smaller and lighter than comparable 308s. So
6.8 pounds. Which
6.8
is crazy
pounds
for a 308.
And it has all the other features that you'd expect. But the big deal is, look, AR-10s, 308s are great, but they're usually kind of heavy and bulky and that kind of thing. This is something that is really cool. So you'll want to check that out. If you want a trimmer, lighter weight, do more with it. You know, now it's really helping it be a hunting rifle. So that's new from Ruger. Ruger.com is where you go to see that. So stories.
I got a story.
Okay.
Let's keep it on the wing shooting deal.
Yeah.
So I'm hunting ducks in Texarkana and hunting with Dad, Grits, and Ray Elgin, our good buddy. And Ray was like all-American trap shooter. I asked him one time, I said, how many targets have you shot? He said, what do you mean, like registered targets? I said, yeah. He says, 1.2 million.
Right. He worked for Federal.
Right.
So everybody wants to work for an ammo company because you get a lot of ammo to work with.
He was a salesman, but also was hired to shoot for Federal.
Right.
So he had like a trunk full of ammo all the time. This is a good thing. So Ray was an incredible shot, and Grits was a really fantastic shot. Didn't shoot a lot of competition, but he was very good.
Just one of those natural hand-eye coordination athletes.
Natural athlete, yeah. You know, football, baseball, doesn't matter. So I'm watching these two over there, and there's 4 mallards working. And they're working, and I'm about 200 yards away in another blind.
Okay.
And I see them coming in, and I see the two of them get up. I hear bang, bang, 2 shots, and 4 birds fall.
Whoa.
That was interesting. What was that? Well, if you're a really good wing shooter, you know that when birds start coming through, especially for ducks, and you've shot a lot of ducks, there is a right time to shoot.
There's a correct moment.
It's like, that's too soon, and this is too late. You've given away an advantage. And when you're really good, you know that that's the perfect place. And turns out they had said, all right, Grits, you take the 2 on the right. I'll take the ones on the left. And they came up, and they fired 4 shots that sounded like 2 shots. It was like, bang, 2 shots went off, bang, 2 shots went off. They're both shooting side-by-side double barrels.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Ray was shooting his SKB, and Grits was shooting his 16-gauge LeBeau Corelli side-by-side.
Oh, wow.
So they had only 4 shots.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, 4 birds on the water.
4 shots.
It's like you're going, okay, those guys really know what they're doing.
That is so cool. 4 shots, 4 mallards down. And I mean, obviously they're great shooters. It's funny because you think about now, we're shooting with these semi-autos. You load 3 in the gun when you're duck hunting typically. Right. And you typically use all 3 shots every time usually a group of good ducks come in.
And often it's bang, 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 damn.
Right. Yeah. And always the 3rd shot is a worthless shot.
Yes.
You know it. The ducks are getting out of range.
The 3rd shot is oh yeah, we'll take this.
Yeah, now I'm just irritated. Screw it. I'll just shoot that last one.
Exactly.
It'll be easier to reload the gun with the action open. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing when you see great shooters and they just do it all the time. Athletes can be great shooters because they just have that hand-eye coordination. I mean,
Gabby Reese, the volleyball player.
Right.
We were doing a thing with ESPN with Doug Painter, who's a really good shooter. And they took her out to the range. She had never shot before. And, she's big, tall woman, super athlete. And he set up these like little puffball targets standing right behind. Yeah. And targets going straight away. And he shows her, they get it. These athletes just get it. They go, okay, yeah, bang, bang. It's like, okay, what else you got?
Right. What's the deal?
Like within 5 minutes, he's throwing screaming 90-degree crossers at 40 yards and she's smoking them. It's just like unbelievable.
Well, you think, and right, she's volleyball.
Right.
So she's watching a flying object coming at her. She has to hit it. And we always say, don't look at the gun. Think about Gabby Reese.
Right.
She doesn't look at her hand to hit the volleyball. She looks at the ball.
Yeah. So you get a good coach that just look at the target, swing fast, and they get it. Ted Williams, famous baseball player, same way. Natural fly fisherman, natural wing shot. Back in the day, Robert Stack, the actor who was in Airplane and all,
right?
He was in the skeet shooting Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was a champion skeet shooter.
Wow. And we know that Tiger Woods likes to shoot skeet.
Yes. I'd like to talk about it.
Yeah.
But he's a serious gun guy.
Back in the day, another golfer, Sam Snead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we knew Sam. Sam, he went on some of the American Sportsman shows with Grits.
Okay.
And they were hunting geese down when the white spreads were new down in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
He was doing all that deal. And Sam Snead won 83 professional golf tournaments. I think it's never been beaten.
Unreal.
Even Tiger hasn't beaten it yet. But what he really loved was hunting and fishing. So as he was older, one time we went to his house in Hot Springs, Virginia, and went in. I met Mr. Snead and talking to him. He said, well, would you like to see my trophies? And I'm thinking, this is the greatest golfer of all time. Absolutely. So we go down to the basement, and he's my trophies. And he says, my deer, and I got that bass over there. And all he wanted to talk about was his deer and his bass and all the rest
of it.
That's his trophies.
Yeah.
And the rest of it was just work.
Yeah. Who cares about this golf stuff? That's the easy stuff that comes naturally to them.
But yeah, natural athletes are just good at this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's unfair, actually.
It's unfair. Actors. We were talking about actors who, there's so many guns in movies. And some of them actually get into guns and
they want to look good. They don't want to embarrass themselves.
Yeah.
And they'll go get training. People know about Keanu Reeves, right?
Sure.
Going and training with Taron Butler. And he looks good because he is good, because he actually can do it. But one of the actors who just died, James Caan, who was in all these movies. From Godfather on.
Yeah.
He was a gun sight graduate.
Wow.
And he was good. And you go back and look at some of his movies, you go, oh, yeah, this guy can handle a gun. You know who else can do that? Tom Selleck.
Sure. And then people kind of know him as a gun guy a little bit.
Right.
But, he's been in, was it Blue Bloods, a TV show?
Blue Bloods forever. And, of course, he was in the Jesse Stone movies. If you get a chance to go see those, they're not as well known, but they're pretty cool. You'll actually see a gun sight gun 1911 show up in that, because that's what he carried in that. Actually, I heard he got kind of in trouble on the set one time because somebody was like too casual about how they were handling a prop gun, and he spoke harshly to them about muzzle discipline.
Yeah,
because he wasn't going to put up with that.
I'm not going to let you point guns at me.
I'm not going to let you do an Alec Baldwin on me.
Yeah, well, that happens. We've seen a couple of those now that everybody has phones. They can shoot video of stuff. There was another one. I want to say perhaps it was Will Smith taking somebody to task.
Oh, is that right?
Hey, man, don't point this gun around. And
to that, we always talk about that. Look, it's up to you not only to be safe, but to make sure people around you are safe. And when you're at a range or you're with somebody, the first time you can say, hey, watch that muzzle. Second time, it's like, I'm not polite anymore.
Yeah.
And there will not be a third time.
So it reminds me of a story. So every year we go to SHOT Show, and every year for I don't know, a decade or more, they have range day SHOT Show Range Day, which is the day before the 4 days of SHOT Show that's in the
Where the
convention
companies
center.
show all the products to the media.
So they're at this giant shooting range. They have miles of booths. So, every gun manufacturer under the sun has a booth and they're shooting guns. And this is all the media, and there's thousands of media and probably buyers and different folks there. And I remember watching, you see some weird stuff when it's that many people.
Keep your head on a swivel. Yeah.
And it's the guy who runs a very successful airsoft blog in Japan, and he doesn't shoot that often real guns because he can't in Japan.
Right.
And they're jacked up.
And they're excited.
They're excited.
Yeah.
But the one that I really remember was there was a guy, and I'm pretty sure he was European. I think, as I recall them talking to him and kind of hearing him, but he was at the either Beretta or Benelli booth where they're shooting shotguns, shooting clays.
Okay.
And he would pull, shoot, and he'd have the gun, he'd bring the gun down, and then he would turn around 180 and smile and go, yeah, good. I like this gun.
Pointing the gun at everybody behind him.
Whoa. And then they kind of said, hey, don't do that. Be careful. Okay, sorry. Again, pull, boom, boom. Oh, he turns around, so excited with the gun in his hand, pointing at everyone behind him. And they're like, okay, we're going to take this.
You're done.
You're done. Thank you for stopping by. Please go now. But it's amazing. And you'll see that on, public ranges. You'll see it on indoor ranges of that exact reaction. That is a common reaction for people who don't have muzzle awareness, muzzle discipline, to shoot and react like, wow. And they still have the gun in their hand, and they turn in a 180 to
face you,
to face everybody behind them.
Well, and one of the points from that is when you are introducing someone to shooting, we do this all the time, we stand right next to them. I'm talking inside 24 inches. You can't be outside 24 inches from them. Why is that? Well, that way, when they start to turn, you can just reach out and put your hand on the gun and say, that's great. Let's keep that pointed down range.
Right. Yes.
There has been a time when we were shooting video and we had somebody who was a little casual.
And you give them a warning.
And then
they do it again.
And then I had to speak to someone.
And I'll put it this way, and this is a story that you guys have told a few times. Sometimes you tell someone once or twice and they're not getting it. You have to either just say, all right, you're done.
Right.
Or
you got to break through.
You got to break through the cloud. And we were filming, so there's cameras, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is very overwhelming.
Distractions. Yeah.
You have to break through, and maybe it's raising your voice or saying some strong words.
It's maybe saying, if you do that again, I'm going to punch you in the throat.
That may have
been said at some point. I'm just saying.
And he goes, oh.
And he never turned around again, did he?
No hard feelings, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're not doing this again. Yeah.
Well, fun story time. I think we're going to keep you here. This is part 1. We're going to do a part 2. So this will be back to back with Tom Gresham. That's it for us this week on Gun Talk Nation.